Today, Bitcoin can't hold on to its early morning gains. Coinbase launches its NFT marketplace, and Miami's mayor discusses what it'll take to make the city the undisputed crypto capital of the U.S. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Digital currencies started the morning higher, but they just couldn't stay in the green. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin hovered right around the $41,000 level. Ether was worth a little more than $3,000, and Solana was around $104. Now let's get to the top stories. First, Coinbase's long-awaited NFT marketplace is here. The crypto exchange announced the service in October of 2021, and 3 million people quickly joined the waitlist. Now, some of those users are gaining access through a beta version. The platform operates sort of like a social media site with a For You page which lets users follow artists and curate their feed. Next, the U.S. Secret Service has been cracking down on illicit crypto transactions. The agency told CNBC they have seized more than $102 million in transactions since 2015. It also said that agents and analysts actively monitor the flow of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on blockchain networks. You can read our full investigative report over at CNBC.com. Finally, India's top crypto talent could be heading for the exit. Crypto trading volume in India dropped as much as 90% after the country implemented new tax rules for transactions and companies. The co-founders of crypto exchange WazirX, for example, chose to leave the country and set up shop in Dubai. The company's Mumbai headquarters, however, does remain operational. Here in the US, there has been a major migration of tech talent as well. Some of the biggest names in crypto are choosing Miami over places like Silicon Valley or Texas. Crypto World's Kate Rooney got to sit down with the mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez, and discuss what the city's doing to become the next tech hub.
We've talked about Miami becoming, you've called it the capital of capital. So it's not quite at the level of New York or San Francisco yet. When do you think Miami will get there? Can it get there with these cities having so much of a head start?
So the key word is yet. And the answer is yes, I do think we can get there. And the sort of factual predicate for that thought is we grew 200% in VC deals year over year. So I'm not saying we're going to stay on that 200% growth trajectory, which is obviously hyper growth. But what we're seeing now is what I call two generational opportunities coming together. One of them is the transfer from an industrial economy to a digital economy. And the second one is the change in generation from my parents' generation, the boomer generation, to our generation. Those two inflection points coming together are creating dynamics that cities have to understand.
What are some of the challenges? We've talked to people who mentioned things like traffic, housing prices are going up. Is it as good for the average person in Miami as it might be for the venture capital investors that are moving here?
Well, our challenge is to make it as good for the average person as it is. So we just did a hiring fair last week. Only about 45% of the jobs are tech jobs in terms of like hardcore engineering jobs. The other 55% of the wraparound services that these tech companies lead, like accounting, marketing, sales, etc. So I think this is an opportunity to really transform our economy, an area in a city where you can build and scale companies, which is how the next generation of companies are going to be created.
Got it. And you are taking part of your salary, or your entire salary in Bitcoin, is that right? So how often are you checking the prices?
I don't check the prices very often. I look at it as something, a legacy that I'm going to be able to leave for my children. Frankly, I'm lucky I'm a mayor that can actually have outside income. A lot of mayors in Miami can, and across the country can as well. So it's one of my, one of my job opportunities. But it's something that I think is something that I'm going to be able to leave for my children. So I'm looking at it that way. And so I look at it as a long-term play. When you look at the year-over-year gains in Bitcoin every year, it's been, I think it's fair to say it's been the asset class that has grown the most in the history of all asset classes. That's a hard standard to maintain, but it's a good thing to think about in terms of an investment.
So the short-term fluctuations you're not watching?
No, and they don't concern me because the fundamentals don't change, right? The fundamentals are, this is a personless system, right, where it has a built-in inflationary mechanism with the halving schedule of new Bitcoin tokens that are given to the miners, and that's going to last until 2100 actually, roughly 2100, and the price is healthy. So from my perspective, I just keep thinking about how it can transform our world.
Got it. And what about Miami Coin? That was another sort of economic experiment. Yeah. The price has also suffered when you look at that token. Is there a price that it could hit that you'd say, all right, we've got to scrap this, it's not going to work for some of our goals?
You know what was interesting about Miami Coin was the idea that you can create a token that the mining function could offshoot a benefit for cities. And so, I think you don't want it to be necessarily, every token doesn't have to be at $40,000 dollars per token. That could make it hard for there to be utility. And I think, we're going to start to see more utility in Bitcoin in this year. But certainly, I think, with Miami Coin, it'd be great if they could find out the right tokenomics to get the price stable, because it's sort of just distracted from the benefits.
Got it. What about Bitcoin? We've seen, speaking of economic experiments, El Salvador has implemented Bitcoin in a big way. Is that something you'd consider in Miami?
Well, one of the things that differentiated us in Miami was all these Bitcoin-related projects, right? Putting the Satoshi white paper on our website, being one of the first politicians, not the first one to have laser eyes, right? Taking my salary in Bitcoin, allowing for our employees to get paid in Bitcoin, and even our residents to potentially pay for taxes in Bitcoin. The last frontier is potentially holding Bitcoin as an asset on our balance sheet. And that's something that would require some law changes that we're actively pursuing at the state level to see if that's something that we can do in the future.
So your name has been floated as a potential candidate. What should we expect from you in the next couple of years here on the political side?
Well, I think you can expect from me to keep having a positive, aspirational, and inspirational message. I believe that America is stronger united than it is divided. I think too many of our politicians are dividing us, and too many of our enemies want to see us divided, so there's a divide and conquer sort of mentality. And I think unfortunately we're falling victim to that. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on a pro-innovation platform, and I'm going to focus on safety. I mean, Miami is a city that has increased its funding for police, and we've seen precipitous drops in our homicide rate. Last year we went down by 23%. This year we're down by 34% from our 23% drop of last year. So I believe in technology, I believe in positivity, and I believe in policing.
Got it. Well, we'll keep watching. It's great to see you again. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Love it.
Before we go, Silvergate Capital reported better than expected earnings yesterday, and CEO Alan Lane took to CNBC's airwaves to talk about the bank's crypto investments. Take a listen.
It's important to note that what we acquired was the DM protocol itself, and the proprietary regulatory elements that sit on top of that give us confidence that we can issue a stablecoin in a regulatory compliant, safe and sound manner. The DM protocol was purpose-built for payments, and where we really see the opportunity here is using a stablecoin for commerce and for cross-border remittance, whereas the existing stablecoins are primarily being used in the cryptocurrency ecosystem for trading, for potentially for DeFi, for purchasing NFTs, et cetera. That's not really where our focus is. Our focus is on using this for payments.
That's all for Crypto World today, but we will be back again tomorrow with more, so we will see you then.